Not all cars are created equal, and the difference isn't always about horsepower or luxury. Sometimes it's about how much money the manufacturer decided not to spend. You might think two cars with the same engine and the same size should cost the same, right? Not even close. Some car companies aggressively strip down features, parts, and even safety components just to offer a slightly cheaper price tag and boost their profit margins. It's cost cutting hidden in plain sight. From exploding engine parts to fake buttons that remind you every day that you bought the cheap one, this is how automakers cut corners and why it can come back to haunt you. The lie of the space saver spare tire. On the surface, it sounds practical. A smaller spare tire that saves room in the trunk. Great idea until you actually need to use it. Space saver wheels are one of the most common modern cost-cutting tricks. These undersized tires are cheaper to produce and let manufacturers advertise more cargo space. But there's a catch. They're only good for short distances, at low speeds, and can make highway driving straight up dangerous. The max speed for some of these tires is just 50 miles per hour, and that's assuming your pothole-riddled drive doesn't finish it off first. You'd think a backup tire should be reliable, but to save a few bucks, automakers decided it was okay to give you a glorified donut instead of a real wheel. What's worse? Some new cars don't include any spare at all. Instead, they give you a can of Fix-A-Flat and a good luck. Back in the day, a spare tire was full-sized, mounted on a steel wheel, and rugged enough to get you through a weekend road trip. Now, you're lucky if it's not made out of recycled Crocs. Ford's plastic intake manifold disaster. Imagine driving a car with an engine component that was designed to fail and explode at around 125,000 miles. That's exactly what happened with Ford's 4.6-liter V8 engines. To cut costs, Ford used a plastic intake manifold instead of a metal one. The result? These manifolds cracked under heat and pressure, causing coolant leaks, misfires, and in some cases, complete engine failure. It got so bad that Ford was hit with lawsuits and eventually issued a recall, but not before countless owners paid the price for one of the most reckless cost-saving decisions in modern car history. And believe it or not, that wasn't the only corner Ford cut. Mustang's faulty Chinese transmissions. In 2011, Mustang fans were excited for a new generation of the iconic muscle car, but what they got was something far less legendary. Ford sourced manual transmissions for that year's Mustangs from a supplier in China. The result? Gears that wouldn't shift, clutches that failed, and a driving experience that felt more like a glitch than a performance car. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration launched an investigation, but it went nowhere. Ford stuck to its guns, and Mustang owners were left grinding gears in frustration. But sometimes the cost cuts weren't under the hood. They were right in front of your eyes. Blank switches and missing features. You ever get into a base model car and see those empty plastic squares where buttons should be? That's not an accident. It's a reminder that you didn't pay for the top tier version. They're like little passive aggressive taunts. Nice car, buddy. Imagine if you had buttons that did something. Some manufacturers take this even further. In one infamous case, a Holden Torana came with a blank instrument cluster, no speedometer, no tachometer, just a fake gauge with markings and no needle. It's like the car was saying, yeah, you're not worth the real parts. And the trend continues today. Many modern vehicles offer just one request sensor for keyless entry, usually on the driver's side door only. So if you walk up to the passenger side, too bad. That door isn't special enough. Want more modern examples? How about USB ports? Some base models give you one USB port for a family of 5. It's the automotive version of let the strongest child charge first. Then there are fake vents. Yes, car makers are now putting non-functional air vent. They're just decorative, kind of like a fireplace on a flat screen TV. Porsche's plastic fuel lines and shared headlights. Think luxury brands are immune to cost cutting. Think again. Porsche, known for its performance and engineering, once used plastic fuel lines in its 914 model. Over time, the plastic would get brittle and crack, leaking gasoline right onto the engine. That's not just cheap, that's dangerous. And in the 1990s, Porsche made another controversial move. They gave the 911 and the entry-level Boxster the exact same headlights. This wasn't just a visual downgrade, it was a cost-saving tactic to reduce production complexity, but it came at the cost of brand prestige, making the flagship model look identical to the cheaper car. But that's just the outside. Inside the cabin, more corners were being cut. Skimping on insulation, cameras, and headrests. You may not see it or hear it until you drive. Modern cars are increasingly being built with minimal insulation. That's right, less sound deadening material, less heat shielding, and more road noise. Why? Because insulation costs money and you can't market what people can't see, but you can hear it, especially when you're going 70 miles per hour and it sounds like you're sitting inside a coffee can full of angry bees. Then there are the rear view cameras. While rear cams are now federally mandated in many countries, that doesn't mean they're good. Some automakers install cameras with terrible sensors and cheap lenses, giving you a blurry, foggy, or distorted view, even in daylight. It's like trying to reverse a car using a potato. In fact, early units of cars like the Nissan Micra Active and base trims of the Kia Picanto had cameras so bad, you were better off using your side mirrors and hope. Or just installing your own backup camera from Amazon. And then there's the headrests. Integrated headrests, molded directly into the seat, are cheaper to manufacture because there's no adjustment mechanism. But that also means no support for your neck if you're taller than 5 feet 7 inches. It's like leaning back into a stale baguette. GM sealed rear windows. Back in the 1970s, General Motors rolled out one of the most baffling cost-cutting ideas in auto history: rear windows that didn't open. First, it was just the base models of their coupes. Then, by 1978, they expanded this feature, if you can call it that, to sedans and wagons. In cars like Buicks and Pontiacs, the rear windows were completely fixed. Not rolled down, not flip out, just sealed shut. It was like GM wanted to punish you for not buying the higher end trim. But perhaps the most sneaky cost cut of all is one you don't even think about: using outdated gearboxes in new cars. Technology moves fast. Unless you're a car company trying to save a few bucks. Even in the 2000s and 20s, some automakers are still selling cars with old school 4-speed automatic gearboxes, while others are rolling out smooth 8-speed DCTs and ultra-efficient CVTs. Some manufacturers are still stuck in 2004. Why? Because developing and producing new transmission tech is expensive, so instead they dust off their old blueprints and slap a decades-old gearbox into a brand new car. A great example? The Toyota Yaris sedan in certain markets still comes with a 4-speed auto. And while Toyota is known for reliability, let's be real, this thing shifts like it's guessing. The problem with 4-speed autos isn't just that they're outdated, it's that they kill fuel economy and throttle response. Driving uphill, good luck. The car will downshift like it's filing paperwork first. Another offender? The Suzuki Alto, a small hatchback sold in many developing markets. Despite updates in looks and safety, its ancient transmission tech drags down the entire driving experience. So while the exterior may scream modern, the internals are whispering, "Remember 1999? Cost cutting isn't new, but what's alarming is how deeply it's embedded in car design, even today. From exploding manifolds to missing features, these aren't just tiny budget decisions. They're compromises on quality, comfort, and sometimes even safety. So the next time you sit behind the wheel, take a closer look. And if this is what they're cutting where we can see it, just imagine what's happening underneath.